getting everything prepared, and then of course the printers were just burning up. And the slow boats were trying to speed them up. Where the printer was done. But a little bit about my background. If you want to write down my email, so any time you have questions, feel free to send those to me. But I actually grew up in Lexington, Kentucky, and taught my first year in college. I had 53rd graders my first year. We're going to be talking about the numbers of students in the class. No one has ever matched. That was just a, well, it was just a thing that year. But I loved my first year with those 50 babies. And anyway, I only stayed there 1 year though. So I moved back to Lexington. There were not really jobs with benefits. So in 1982, I moved to Houston, where there was an oil boom and they were begging for teachers, and started teaching in inner city Houston, 4th and 3rd grade. Then I moved out to the suburb of Spring, Texas, where I lived, and started teaching 1st grade. And I loved teaching reading. I'd always been an avid reader, and I loved teaching reading, so I went back to get my master's as a reading specialist. And in that work, learned about Maury Clay's work with reading recovery. So when our district decided to implement reading recovery, I was selected to be the teacher leader. So I went to Denton, Texas for a year to train with Billy Askew and Diane Frazier. And we were the second training site. Asa Connell was one of the 3 who brought reading recovery to the United States. Are you familiar with reading recovery at all? First time intervention, 1st grade only, to prevent failure. So the idea was, if we could meet the needs of the bottom 20% of 1st graders falling behind already after 1 year in school, we could prevent failure. And we were working towards that when changes in political stations happen along the way, and funding shifts. So, and accountability shifts happen. So, reading recovery funding was blocked for a while. And we saw a decline in schools that could implement reading recovery. And that's when I retired from the school system after 17 years of being a teacher leader in the spring, and ran into Gay and Irene at a reading recovery conference, and they were just rolling out benchmark assessment and level literacy intervention, and were growing a professional development team. So I joined with them in 2007. I've been working with them through all of this growth to what we now have with the classroom materials. They started their collaboration back in the 1990s. After we started implementing reading recovery, which was an intervention, we soon heard teachers in the classroom saying, we need to know how to teach like this. We need this way of teaching students so they're not falling behind in the first place. And that's when Gay and Irene started their collaboration to form the literacy collaborative model to train classroom teachers, and wrote the first book, Guided Reading, back in 1995. I think it was the first printing. The White Book, are you familiar? It was for primary students. I'm looking here at primary teachers, you may be familiar with that. Then Guiding Readers and Writers came out for grades 3 and above. And since then, they've continued to produce more books. Teaching for Comprehending Fluency, which they have brought, is another good one that we might refer to for those who do not have their materials yet. So that's sort of my background with Gay and Irene. As consultants, we've grown, our consultant team has grown quite a bit over years also. So we are working hard to help classroom teachers and intervention teachers and support children so that we don't have any child falling behind. It was really interesting to me that after our 12th graders, the first year of reading recovery students, when they got to 12th grade, I interviewed 4 of them to see if they remembered failing as 1st graders in reading. None of them remembered ever struggling as readers. They all said, I wasn't in reading recovery. I'm a good reader. I'm going to college. I'm doing this. I don't have any problems reading. And when I started mentioning the books like Mrs. Wishy-Washy and some of their teachers, they're like, oh yeah, I do remember that. So that's what we're trying to do. You don't have to ever feel like they are failing or struggling with reading. And right now in this country, when I visit schools, I'm just shocked that we have, in some places, 75% of the population below grade level. How did that happen? That's really got to change that. We can't afford that education system for sure. So, what's that? Is that here? Oh, and so I lived in Houston. I didn't mention that, but about a year and a half ago, my husband retired, and he's from Akron, Ohio. And he always told me, we met in Houston, and he always said, I'm not living where it snows. So we stayed in Houston. Well, we decided after Hurricane Harvey, and we had 1.5 inches of flooding in our house, that we were finished with hurricanes. So we moved back to Lexington last year. I needed to help take care of my aging parents, and so now I live in Kentucky again. So people tell me I don't have a New York accent, but hopefully we'll be able to understand. When I've done a lot of work in New Jersey, and my husband always says, you come back with a New Jersey accent. Right. Can you imagine that? Not at all. So the first thing I would like to know is, I know you had an overview day of FPC with one of the content specialists, with your local sales rep team here. So tell me what you already know about Fountains and Help classroom, and especially the interactive read level that we talked about today. What do you already know? I'll get your tables for just a moment about that day. It's probably been how long? You slept a few times since then? So see what you remember from that overview day, and then that'll give me an idea of maybe what I can go faster through.
What the count for?
Before we get here, and they find these several people from the independent process. So they really go up to the level of independent. So it's another good experience of high professional or yeah, like I figured this was fine. I texted her like, I love that part, but you know, right now this is
All right. If I could get you to wind up your talk. And just a few housekeeping kind of things. We'll stop and do some chats along the way, because I know you can process. And take care of your own needs. There's never enough restrooms for all the women. Men don't have a problem. Women have to wait in line. So just take care of your needs and you get to go. And I'll try to build in some stop and work together. Sometimes we want to slip out and in and not listen too much of anything. So, what else can I forget? So, Danielle's passing out the literacy continuum, and we'll talk about those supplies that you have and what you need and what you don't have and all those things. But what did you remember from the overview? Anything at all? Okay, I won't tell Mary. She did absolutely terrible job. They remember a thing if you don't tell her that you remember our time. I'm sure you remember just too shy to share them out. Who's the topper in the group? Everybody's just kind of giving side eyes, and everyone else, they're not going to share. All right, well then we'll start from the beginning, and if I repeat things, it's your fault. So our goals though are to talk about interactive read aloud. What is an interactive read aloud, and how it fits into the whole classroom model. It seems that you're getting 3 parts of the whole model of classroom instruction from Fountas and Canal. You're getting interactive read aloud, reading mini lessons, and guided reading. If you'll look in this, I think it's the front inside, they keep changing the covers and where things are. Let's look in the table of contents. That would be the easiest place to look for the model, what I'm calling Fountas and Canal's instructional model for reading workshop, writing workshop, word study workshop. Back in the day when we first started, back in the early 1980s, really, we were looking at 3 hours of instruction for language arts. We had reading workshop, writing workshop, language and word study workshop. And so that's how this came about. We taught reading, writing, and word study. So do you have 3 hours for language arts now? Okay, you're no different than most people. So now we're trying to integrate as much as possible. So the reading workshop incorporates interactive read aloud, which you see is first, shared reading, performance reading, and then the other reading you have to skip down to guided reading. And if we look back, we see writing about reading. That is part of the writing response. It's expanding reading, but it's also can build in some divided components as well. Writing workshop is that one gold in the middle of the buff gold color. Writing workshop. It's the second to thickest part of your continuum. Guided reading being the thickest. Then they've split out now oral communication, oral and visual communication. That really ties in with literature discussion because oral communication is talk and that is part of discussion. But yet there's more to it than that. So that's why it has its own little segment there. Technological communication. The phonics spelling and word study workshop, language, that's grammar, spelling, anything that has to do with letters, words, sounds, the phonics part of it. And then you'll see the guided reading, which is part of the reading. So those are the contexts that are in the Fountas and Canal classroom. Interactive reading aloud, I have to go back to my list. Shared reading, reading mini lessons, writing, we don't have the writing lessons yet. Book club, guided reading, phonics spelling and word study. I just missed one. Independent reading. So which one do you not see listed here? Interactive read aloud, book club, independent reading, reading mini lessons. Those 3, independent reading, book club, and reading mini lessons, you don't see a section in the continuum for those, do you? But they're built into, they're embedded in these other pieces. So that's what we'll be talking about today. The values of interactive read aloud, how it all fits into this overall model for instruction and reading. And the reading process itself is complex. We have many publishing companies, reading programs, and what we have learned from Mark Clay's model and theory of teaching reading as a process is that reading, when you try to simplify it, it really makes it harder. So we'll delve more deeply into that way of thinking about reading as a process. Have any of you been to conferences or workshops with reading theory, Mark Clay's reading theory, literacy collaborative, or any of that, reading as a process? Well, we're going to use this literacy continuum. It helps us to observe students, to know what we're looking for, so we know what to teach, to find where they are now, so we know where they need to go next, and to see where they have been and where they're going, kinds of things. That's why it's a continuum. It will help you to identify the teaching goals, and also to select texts for each of those contexts for teaching. We'll be talking about your roles as a teacher, but also the roles of the students, the roles of what FPC provides for you, and those more goals. Selecting text, that's one thing that Founders in the Classroom is helping you to provide the text, and that's what you're missing. But you can still teach the goals and expectations with any text that you have already. So we'll spend some time talking about that today, especially for third, fourth, fifth grade, all of their materials. Well, some of you may not either, it sounds like. And again, talking about classrooms and what they have. So when Danielle mentioned that you have the classroom system guide, it's the spiral bound. Is it this one? Okay, so you have that. Some of you have that, and some of you don't. I'll be referring to pages in this guide, the system guide. This has information about all elements. Does everyone have one of these? No. All right. Third, you. Third here. Third does, but fourth, fifth, and sixth do not. So we might share with you, if someone at the table can share a guide together and let those tables have one at their table. We might be able to do that today. Some of you may have your collection guide. You have the collection guides for interactive read aloud. In each component, each instructional context has its own collection guide, and it has information only about that particular context. So you may have that guide. When I say collection guide, that's what I mean, and it says collection guide on the front. The other things you might have are the sample. And it came with 3 sample guided reading books in the front and the back. And the sampler has sample, books out on the blue. The sampler has samples of each lesson, so we might refer to that if you have a sampler. Some of these I put on your table that the sales rep sent. You may have that. That's it. Yes, they're all different colors. They're doing the color system sort of like the LOI system. So the colors are matching. So orange is always kindergarten, green is first grade, second grade is blue, third grade is red, fourth grade is gold, fifth grade is purple, sixth teal, I guess, is what they're coming out with. I haven't seen anything from sixth grade yet, so it's still under development. Right, so that you might have. And then we also have a few in the room of these samplers that they have produced and are only available when we go out to do the PD for those places that don't have their materials yet. So I have 3 of those that I've just put around the room. And I think the Susan Ball group, Shira may have seen some of these. So this is another type of sampler. But this sampler is only for interactive read aloud. You have one of those at your table. So we've got lots of samplers going around, but not real materials at this point. So page numbers are, I may get very confused about which booklet we're in, which page number we're on, because they all have some similar materials in them. But we'll find what you need. We'll just flip through them all. Is that okay? If we're kind of random like that. So let's go to this page. So I found out that you didn't have your materials, so I happened to bring one book and lesson for each grade level. So I have some books, and I have brought books that 4th, 5th, and 6th grade can look at that are possibly on the list. We've gotten some sample lists of what might be on the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, 4th and 5th grade interactive reading on this, but maybe those what we do know so far, but we've been able to glean just from those who are working on those lessons. Because the interactive read log books are books that are in your libraries. You may have in your classroom libraries. They're good trade books. So those books you may have, and we'll just look through the lesson format and talk about how you can create those lessons to fit the model. And you probably have already been doing that yourself anyway. Make sure I can line up and not do it. So that's what we have to work with. If any of you have guided reading, do you have this one also? And y'all brought her copy, but if any of you have a personal copy of this, this is the guided reading book that explains how to teach guided reading using the lessons you get. So it's another 5-pound book. My suitcase, I know how to pack it now, so it's 47, just under 50. But it's hard when you have this 5-pound book and this 5-pound book. All together. All right, but if any of you have that, it'd be great to read that. Tomorrow we'll be using the reading mini lesson book. It's not quite 5 pounds, it's like 3. But this is what we'll do tomorrow. So I think we'll still have, this is the one that comes in the reading mini lesson. And that box, teacher resource box. So if you can find this one for tomorrow, this will be what we're working on tomorrow.
You didn't receive it.
Yes, I know those. Back in the room, I know. And the format framework for all of the lessons is the same. They're all the way up, and that's what we'll be going over. And the reading lesson, that's the guided reading. That's what we're going to guided reading we'll be doing in October. The reading mini lesson box is another. It's English kindergarten. Well, that's good. Yeah, it was in my room yesterday. So you might have more boxes in your room. Because I went to my room yesterday and I was there like the day before and I didn't have any boxes. And then this is in my room. Well, yeah, tons of boxes there. We unloaded all the books, but not. Everybody's going to be getting more. Yes. So yes, when things come to your building, they're in round boxes, and then you have to open them with that color box. So you're always looking for the icon that's in the square. It's like that was GR, that's guided reading. You're looking for the one that's R and L. It's reading and and sometimes they show a picture and a sampler of the boxes. I have some pictures of the boxes in another book. I'm just searching for yours. Okay. So some of you have the reading mini lesson. We had options to do the. Yeah. All right. So just like the first day of school, our goal is to get through our work today, and we're starting at 9, and we finished by 3. But I think there was a message at 7. Is that what was on your schedule? Yeah. Danielle, let me help me clarify. We were supposed to go until 3, but they asked the custodians wants to try to be out early?
That was the other building. 3:30,
Oh,
and we have till like 3:30. If we're done at 3, we can leave at 3. But, yeah.
I don't want to make custodians mad.
No, that was if we had moved to Farley, but we didn't have Farley.
All right, so then the next thing is men's lunch. It's like, you know, when the kids start school. So what's a good time to break from lunch? What are you using? I mean, first grade, we used to have lunch at 10. We're not gonna stop at 10 for lunch today. What, 11:30? Good time to think? Let's see how we're doing now. I'll just listen to the ground. He is school. Yes. So, 12 to 1. 11:30, 12:30. Is there do we have to worry about a lunch rush, about places to go?
Not really today. Not really today, like this time of year, no. During the regular school year, you know, on Fridays, but.
So, is that the housekeeping items all taken care of now? So now does that prompt your mind to think of anything that you learned from Mary? It was all too new. There's been a lot to be. Back before school, before summer started. You're still on summer break, aren't you? All right, we'll have to look this down. So if you have the system guide, the classroom system guide, let's start exploring there. And
You have a whole bit of highlights,
the core principles are the first 14 pages. But if you have the classroom sampler, let's see, they're on, I think, a 1 page on the back, have the core values. Let's see, not that one. Oh, inside cover. Page 1, the inside cover, we have the sampler that has the IRA on it. Those samplers, I have to look at the page.
I have extra samplers too, if people don't have them.
That sampler, the sampler that had the little book in it, it's on the back, inside the page, has the core values. So those are the beginnings of Dr. McNell's model of teaching and thinking about schools and children. So read those areas that you want to think about. Does your school fit that way of thinking? Did you find that schools are places where
Which page are you
children and
Grade 6, I'm getting on this, where it's right here. Here it is.
there were some of those.
Do you guys have any of them?
Yes, they're right there.
Okay, so it's right in the back of here. Okay.
Just think about the core values.
Do you know when do you know when we'll be able to get an 80% score for 6? Okay.
You guys are working on them?
Okay. It's great we're getting them together. Okay, so that's Shira. That's the Shira, okay, so Shira. Because I did say,
What books do you have? Well, see, this is what that's together. So they get things to discover. But in the meantime,
and both of our reps are in our over here.
do you think our schools in places like this?
There.
That's the FEC for, it has to go on for a minute.
This is a multi-year project. This is a multi-year.
Got that. Just want to be aware of that. I can just put them in, trying to figure out where.
Okay. So do you feel like your schools are there? Do your schools allow children to talk?
Students are generative, but
So we work on instructional coherence.
yeah.
So there are two different principles that at work here. So the core values are that schools are places where students act as members of a cohesive learning community. Those are some big words. What does that mean? Cohesive. You're going to hear a lot about cohesive, coherent, community of learners in Mathis and Mill's work. What does that actually mean?
That's what I understand.
Great. Did you all hear that?
No.
Right, so the names, so I can do the names. I'll say it louder.
So everyone's engaged and.
I don't think sixth grade can hear that.
Everyone is actively engaged and has a special role within that community in this classroom.
And it's a cohesive, coherent community within the building, within a district. That means we're all on the same path, moving the same direction. That if you call it a community of learners, that's what we call it in every classroom. We are a community of learners. It's not just a classroom, we are a community of learners. That has an idea that we're together in this. And we each have jobs to do, but yet the jobs all help the community to run more smoothly. And so if we're working in a cohesive, coherent way, that means we're all working with the same vision in mind. What is your vision for your students here in Rockford? What do you all want your students to do? By the time they graduate? That's one thing right there. Do you want the students here to graduate?
You know, can I just pause for 1 second? I just want everyone to know what's going to their buildings. The only thing you're sharing is guided reading. That's it. It was made to share over amongst 3 classrooms. You're sharing it amongst 2 classrooms. Or in your case in the back, that is 3 classrooms, basically. You did get your own for the bilingual, but we went down lower, so if you guys want to pull from her, you can to go down lower. There's tons of books. It's more than enough to share. And, you know, it doesn't, you don't like have to say like, oh, it's like this theme goes with like these books. It's not like that. It goes by whatever the students love reading up with and their reading behaviors that you're trying to want to address. Yeah. So, but you all will be getting your own reading mini lessons. So reading mini lessons, you get this fat book over here, okay? And you're gonna get a box of books that go along with it, okay? Then interactive read aloud, you're gonna get boxes of books that come with cards that go along with it. You're gonna get your own independent reading library for your classroom with cards that go along with the books that help you to find with your class. And then you're also, all, if you haven't gotten it yet, you're going to get your own system guide, which K-3 all got their own system guide, but 4 through 6 will be getting this also. So the only thing you're sharing is guided readers. And there's so many, I'm telling you right now, there's a lot. You would not, it's no problem to share them. Like, you don't have to be like, oh, you know, there's not enough, like there is. But everything else, you're getting your own setup. So I I did, like yesterday I was trying to get everything tracked, but like I said, I didn't have the PO numbers. I only have the codes. I forwarded them to Diane Serrano. She makes PO numbers. That's how it happens. She was on vacation. Today she sent all the PO numbers to our rep, and then our rep is going to check behind it to see what's been shipped and what's missing. And then also give me an ETA on the expenses. Okay? All right.
Okay, so the reading mini lessons do not come with the little book. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. But independent reading have little cards like this with books for your independent reading library. And so by the time they're in the 6th grade, they're novels. Book clubs are also little books conferring cards. So those are the different pieces that you. The guided reading is the A to Z books. Those are the only ones that are leveled. We'll be talking more about those in October and how to use those. But today I want to just focus on the Interactive Roll Out that we have. If you're ever confused, on the front part of your classroom system guide, you see all those little boxes with the letters? Those are the components or the instructional contacts. So if you pick a row, and you'll see PLT, Professional Learning Tools. That is the continuum and the guided reading book. Those don't come in the systems, but they are recommended to go along with them. They are the professional learning tools for the teachers to learn how to use these materials. So that's what the PLT stands for. Then you see the G on that's guided reading, RML, reading mini lessons, SR, shared reading, and then we have interactive read aloud, independent reading, PWS, phonics word study. Are you getting the phonics word study? No. Book clubs and so on. So those are the books we'll look more closely at those. Let's go back to the school and the principals. You agree then that we all need to be on the same page, working toward the same goals, so that we're all cohesive in our work together. All right. So notice under teachers, places where literacy educators, it's number 7 in most lists there, that the teacher has to make instructional decisions. And that's what we're going to be focusing on in our work together, is we have these materials, they have suggested ways to teach, but you are still the professional in the room. You have to make the final decision about the final answer. You can call a friend, but you still have to make the final call as to how you're going to teach in your classroom. You have to make those decisions based on your assessment. So that's why I was asking, your assessment is going to be important because it will give you the information to get started if it's a good assessment tool. So we can talk through that as well. But let's keep moving because we can spend all morning just chit-chatting about all these things. And I've had a first grader tell me, when are we going to quit talking about it and get over there and do it? So let's get in there and do it. Let's watch a video of an interactive read aloud with a first grade classroom. What do you do with a tale like this? So observe to see what kinds of things, what values do you notice? So these values you just read about. What do you notice with children and how they're participating? What do you notice about the teacher and her language of teaching? Consider those things as you observe the videos today. Today we are going to learn What Do You Do with a Tale Like This by Steve Jenkins and Roger Page. This book asks questions about different animals. See and figure out the answers and learn different ways of listening. Animals use their noses, ears, tail, eyes, mouth, and feet in very different ways. See if you can guess which animal each part belongs to and how it's used. At the back of the book, you can find out more about this. What do you do with a nose like this? Which animals do you think these noses belong to? Tia, what do you think? Elephant. Here. James.
platypus.
Which one do you think is the platypus?
The flat one.
Interesting. Let's see if you're ready. If you're a platypus, you use your nose to dig in the mud. If you're a hyena, you find your next meal with your nose. So I think that's the one that Octavian thought was a tiger. Yeah, it was a hyena. Sure does. If you're an elephant, you use your nose to give yourself a bath. If you're a mole, you use your nose to find your way underground. If you're an alligator, you breathe through your nose while hiding in the water. Turn and talk with your partner about how these animals use their noses.
The elephant grabs some water, then it squirts it on its body and it turns around. Moves.
All right, my friends, turn back up towards me. Let's see what else we can do. What do you do with a tail like this? Jayla.
That's a skunk.
Jacob.
Scorpion.
A scorpion? Is that what you said? One more, Landon.
Lion.
Which one do you think is a lion?
The one with that tail.
This one? Let's see if you're right. Hands down. If you're a giraffe, you brush off pesky flies with your tail. If you are a skunk, you lift your tail to warn that a stinky spray is on the way. If you're a lizard, you break off your tail to get away. If you're a monkey, you hang from a tree by your tail. If you're a scorpion, your tail can give a nasty sting. I think some of our predictions were right. What do you do with a mouth like this? Make a prediction. Hands down. And we're going to see if your prediction is right when you turn the page. If you're a pelican, you use your mouth as a net to scoop up fish. If you're an egg-eating snake, you use your mouth to swallow eggs larger than your head.
What?
If you're a mosquito, you use your mouth to suck blood. If you're an anteater, you capture termites with your long tongue. If you're an archfish, you catch insects by shooting them down with a stream of water. I'm going to have you turn and talk with your partner. Oh, you have to listen to me first, otherwise you're not going to know what happened. Which animal do you think uses its mouth in the most interesting way? So take a look before you turn. Which one do you think is the most interesting and why? Tell your partner. Lashara, can you point to the one that you think is the most interesting? You think the snake too? So which one did you think was the most interesting when you were talking with your partner?
The snake.
Why did you think the snake was the most interesting?
Because he can eat the egg using its full mouth.
The egg is larger than its head.
Yeah.
Goodness.
The one who sucks up blood.
Do you remember the name of this animal? You're out right now, though, miss. One more friend.
The fish, because it catches its food spreading on water, and the water goes up and it makes the bug go down.
That is really interesting. I had no idea. How many of you learned something new on this page? I did. We're going to talk a little bit more about the animals that we saw in this book. What are some interesting ways that animals use their tails? Do you remember some interesting way that these animals used their tails?
They on the tree. To steal.
People? People? Yeah, they might steal people or their prey.
Unattaching their tail.
Why does a lizard break its tail off, Alex?
Because it was being attacked and it was so quick without its long tail.
Or the animal at the end of its tail that broke off? Right. All right, so in this book, I noticed that the author first asks us a question. So on that page, now, what do you do with a tail like this? And then gives us the answer. How does that question and answer pattern help you know what you're going to learn about next? So think about it, ask a question, and then we find the answer. How does that help us to know what we're going to learn? When I turn to a page and I see, what do you do with a nose like this? We have the question.
Nose from an animal.
So every time it asks us a question, we see the question, we know we're going to learn about noses. You can ask us, what do we do with a tail like this? On the next page, we're going to learn about tails. Okay, the author teaches us facts in this book and tells us true information. So is this book fiction or non-fiction?
Non-fiction.
When we learn true facts about something, that's non-fiction or informational. We read this book, what's that main message or that big idea that the author wants us to learn?
Animals have different features and they're really cool, so he wanted us to see that.
We just mentioned you, what do you do with a tail like this? So we're going to do some of our own writing, just like this book. And we're going to write about, what do you do with a hand like this? So I want you to be thinking about what you can do with your hands. While I write the question up here. Let's see if you can come up with some ideas. Question. What do you do with a hand like this? Think about what we do with our hands. What's something that we can do?
You can grab things like a spoon or something.
Can you help them with the word grab? Grab. What do you hear at the beginning of grab? Grr. So we have grr. Now let's think about that. Ab. A. We have one idea. You can grab with your hands. I'm going to run my finger in here. I want you to say it with me slowly and see if it looks right. Grab. Right? Yes. That's another idea. Something we can do with our hands.
Dig.
Come on, my friend. My friends, let's say the word dig slowly. Dig. One more time. Dig. What do you hear first when you dig? Say if you know it.
D.
Let's say it again. Dig. What do we hear next?
I.
All right. One more time. Dig. What do we hear at the end?
G.
Let's see if we can come up with one more idea of something we do with our hands.
Wiggle.
Come on up. That's a tricky one. And then we come over here. All right, my friends, let's talk the word wiggle. Wig. What's the first part of the word wiggle?
Wig.
Wig. What are we going to start with when we're, wait, what letter?
W.
Wig, dig. What's the same? What's the same?
The ending.
You're right, that ending is
Egg.
egg. All right, and I will finish that word for you. G. E. Let's say this word together. Wiggle. I'm gonna have some friends come up and help me illustrate. Let's say the words together that we're gonna illustrate. Grab, dig, wiggle.
So, looking back, and now the core values were in the sampler, in your lesson, in your system guide, page 2 and 3. We just talk about what things did you see in that lesson that are examples of these beliefs. What did you notice? Everybody was engaged. Was she engaged then? That was a whole group lesson with first graders. I'm not exactly sure what time of the year it was, but they seemed to know the routines and procedures, didn't they? She wasn't having to redirect very many of them, just yes. Especially where it says teacher, work at the cutting edge, you see it in your coherence and the responsive teaching. She was teaching to the needs of the students. She seemed to be stretching their learning. There were some things that they all learned in that book. She even said she learned some things herself. So they're working at the edge of learning. They're learning something new. What else did you notice about the way she was instructing? She had time to talk to each other. They had time to truly talk to each other and reflect on their own learning before sharing. So everyone has a chance to share their own thinking. And that's what we want students to know, that when you're reading, you have to think. You're thinking and what you think is important. So everyone had a chance to share when they did the turn and talking partners. Some also shared with the whole group. Anything else that you learned? That's what that thoughtful users of literacy. Thoughtful means they are thinking. They're having thoughts. That's an important part of this whole idea of interactive reading, is that we're engaging children in thinking. They all have to be engaged in that thinking. Anything else? Right, then the other part of this system guide, the beginning part, is to think about those core values, and you're going to see those elements in all of the instructional content. The first 14 pages go through each of those individually. So we'll skip over to page 15. And this gives an explanation of what you have in your materials and your resources for each whichever context you have for purchasing, they already went over that with you. And when you turn the page, you'll see what comes with each of those. You're getting interactive read aloud, so here's what comes with it. The collection guide, the books, and the lesson folders. Are you getting shared reading? No, so write down guided reading. You'll have a guided reading collection guide that's within the guide, like you have the interactive read aloud. You'll have the little books and the lesson folders. Independent reading, I heard you say you are getting the independent reading. You'll get a collection guide, the books, and those little conferring cards like this. Brought a couple of samples of those. Turn the page, 18. Are you getting book clubs?
No.
No. Reading mini lessons. The only thing that comes with reading mini lessons is the reading mini lesson guide. The texts that are suggested come from the interactive read aloud and shared reading collections. So the books you have with your interactive read aloud, but the guide is just the guide. Honest, you're not getting
And
that.
those lessons that you have a suggested text, you can also take those lessons and do it with the
Yes.
other text that you love.
And we'll be talking about that tomorrow. Yep, that's what we'll be doing tomorrow. And then you have your online resources. On the inside cover for each context in the collection guide, you should find a code. That's going to be very important.
To log in and get access.
So here's the collection guide, the little skinny guide that comes in every context. Reading mini lessons is on the inside of the book. But you see this little box here, you'll have a code. It's a scratch off code. Don't scratch the code away. Okay, so people do that. Be very careful with scratching. So you can get your product code. And then I'll show you how to use that to register and have access to the online resources. Each product has its own code. Each grade level for each product has its own code. And there on the collection guide page, it explains how to do it, and it tells you up to 3 users can use that code. So you register, 3 different people can register with your email, create a password, and that product code. When 3 people have registered that code, it's locked. So if someone moves away, you'll have to call the technology department and take that person's name off so you can add the new person to that code. So I always recommend.
For example, like when I was a reading specialist, when I used level literacy intervention, all the kids I had access to. When I did that though, I didn't have to go in separately each time. I put in my register, everything that I have a code for shows up. So you don't have to go in like all different passwords and all different, like once you register all of your materials, once you then log in, the listing will always come up for you. So just click on like reading mini lessons or interactive read lab or whatever it is.
So I have mentioned it, do I need to show it to you right now? That's not sure. I will show it to you right now.
Debbie, did that come out here? Because we don't have it.
It's going to be in the materials, like you're looking at on the system guide. Do you see the picture of the interactive read aloud on that location? Right here, page 16 has a picture of everything that comes in the boxes that are interactive read aloud. And in that box will be one of these booklets. And you'll see for each of these products, it has one of these little booklets, and that's where the code will be. When you look at reading mini lessons, there is not one of these little booklets. It should be on the inside cover of your mini lesson guide.
So all of you have
Oh, they're not scratch off anymore. I guess they had enough problems with those. They're not scratch offs anymore. We had, so, I mean, I'm serious, we had some people call it right in and say, I scratched. All right, so I'll show you that in just a second then. But that's my suggestion is that when you're using this system, that you just put a 1, 2, 3, and that person just write your name, that you've used that code. And that's a good way to track. So you would know, later, a couple years down the road, somebody moved 4 years ago, and all of a sudden we need a new person to use that code. Who was using which code? You want to say? Yeah, multiple copies. And just, to me, that was one way to track that this booklet, if we have 3 people use that code, so it must be free, and then if you're gonna use that code, put your name in. I'm not sure where to be.
We're gonna need a big team. Look at the entire lesson. Mondays, everything we need to talk about.
All right, so let me show you where those are on the online resources. So, when you go to the fountainandcanal.com website, this is the home page. It's just www.fountainandcanal.com, all spelled out. See that there at the top, that's how you get to the home page. Under this home page, there are tons of free stuff. So under the free things, you can explore anything fountain. You can explore any of these areas: assessment, classroom resources, intervention, professional books, professional development. There's all kinds of cataloging things. Under extend your expertise is where you'll find the research and standards. There's a blog. This blog and featured posts every Tuesday. There's Teacher Tip Tuesday, Frequently Asked Question Friday. They have a daily lit bit. So that blog, you can click on that. This resource library has lots of free information. So where it says instructional tools, leadership, promotional materials, samplers, study guides, videos and webinars, white papers. If you go to the videos and webinars, you'll see there's a lot of webinars, especially about the instructional context for FPC. So you can watch those free anytime. There's a registration. Notice that this little box, if it's green and it's open, it says free. If it's locked, there's one that says members only. It's a free membership. You just sign in with your email and a password. I use the same one for the free community side as I do the online resources, so I don't have to, actually I have to do it for myself. But it would be easier if I really want. But it's free membership, so you can get lots of information there. As you see, that one's on grades 4 through 6. So that was very well attended webinar on that day. But it has a recorded webinar. So there's lots of information there that's free under Extend Your Expertise. Some of the materials that are in your guides, you will often want those as their own papers, especially this design. People like to have that sometimes. It's on the inside cover of some of your booklets. This has the framework of what the classroom looks like, the instructional contexts are, when we look at that in the blog. You can print those off or save those from that website. All right, then engage with peers. There's a discussion board. You can enter the Facebook learning group, and there's lots of chat on the Facebook learning group, people sharing how to organize all of that materials. So, discussion board, and that's where you get questions. Yeah. Now across the top, you see where I am now, the online resources. That's where you get the online resources for your products. So I've already logged in, and everything that I've entered a code for is already loaded in. When you have to load your products, if I were to log out, this is what it would look like the first time you go there. And you'll click on this left side where it says register, and that's where you enter the product code and enter your information. Once you've done that, then every time you go to that page, instead of signing up, now I just log in right here. With my login, my password. So now, once I've logged in one product, I don't have to register, go through that registration anymore. I go to sign in and add a new product. And that's where you'll add each product code. So that you're not registering every time. Just adding a new product. So when I want to go to FPC, I can go across the top to FPC. There's some information here. A couple of things that are available. These interactive plans for preparing formats and mail and organizing. They've got the little booklets that the sales reps have available. You can download those from this link. Then the 8-week planning guide that some of you got. And if you didn't, we have more of these for you that will be out. We'll spend time on this tomorrow. But you can also download those from this homepage for your grade. And when 4th grade is ready, it will be loaded here. 5th grade, when you're ready. So those are available on our website as well. The sales reps are the only ones who get the booklets. Everyone else has to download their own. That's why I say those are valuable to have in the booklet form. They're getting started videos you can access. They might be helpful until you get your information. So today we're doing interactive read aloud. And when I click on that interactive read aloud icon, it will pull up every grade level that I have entered my code for. So I have all the grade levels that are available. And I can go to the general resources, lesson resources for every grade level, or I can click to just pick one grade level. And it will pull up everything that's available. So you've got your general resources as well as the lesson resources.
I turned it right on, and it's saying that it's parked. Not available because it's parked.
So on the website, then once you log in, if there are activities that go with the lessons that are suggested, when we look at the lesson folders, we'll talk more about that. Some of these videos are available. You click videos up here at the top, and it'll pull up all the videos that are available. And you can organize them yourself. So the Fountains of Canal classroom has suggested sequences for all of the lessons, but you may change that up depending on your social studies, science topics, and re-sequence things. And you can create folders across the bottom. You can create folders and then set them up for your school year. Which lessons you want to drag and drop into that folder by month, by school year, however you like to do that. So here are all of the videos that are available for interactive reading. We'll be using simple settings as we go through the day. So that's what the online resources look like. So we just you have to have And if you try to anything like code, that might be right. It's already closed. All right. So that's what we talked, what we mean with online resources. We'll reverse that. So anything else you notice about the interactive reality video that you observed? Anything about the core values? We were looking at the resources in your system guide on page 19, and there's a little reminder there of how to get to the resources on at the bottom of page 19 of the little website. The next page has those professional learning tools I mentioned, the literacy continuum, which we have, and there aren't any online resources for continuing at this time. And then guided reading, if you have that, prompting guides, if you have any of those. And the reading labels are reading tools, professional learning tools. I don't know if you're purchasing those. On the next page are some more CCL, and you have a literacy quick guide that's mentioned here, and other prompting guides and things that are available. All right, so the next section, we have tasks. The next section is about organizing your classroom, getting everything organized. And so it's specific to the grade level. So I'm using a third grade guide, so it's specific to what third graders might need. I might want to set up a classroom for third graders. It talks about the learning spaces. Some of those things you already have in place. Setting up an area in your room for whole group teaching. So in the classroom you saw, how were the students seated when there was a whole group together? They were on the carpet. They were all in rows on the carpet. Some grade levels you will see sit in a circle when they're in full group, because the teachers prefer to have students facing each other and having conversations. So think about how you want to set up your learning spaces, how much room you have, what kind of unity you want to have in the classroom, about how you will set that up. So sometimes you'll see them in circles, sometimes you'll see them in rows, sometimes you'll see them moving from one space to another. And then you also need a space for your guided reading groups, a small area designated for small group teaching, and an area for students who are independent. Do you use flexible space in your classrooms so students are not assigned to a specific desk or in room? Some people do. So you'll see people using that independent work area in different ways. But then students need a place to work independently, maybe routines and procedures for managing that. That's what we'll be talking about tomorrow. Managing the classroom and independent learning spaces with the reading mini lessons. And that's what it shows you on page 26 and 27 is an example of the layout. And the organizing reading mini lessons will be what we'll be planning tomorrow for next week. Sharing materials and resources is mentioned on page 28. Some suggestions for that. And then planning your year. In the section called Planning Your Year, it has some suggested time frames. That also depends on your school schedule, your school day, your school year. Fountains and Pinnell do not know the plans for every school in the country, and this is actually worldwide. We're getting a lot of requests throughout. Yesterday was down from India, and so we can't plan for everyone's schedule. So these are just suggestions. I'm saying that because I got a question, and I answered the questions on the website. And the question came yesterday. The book says I have to do 20 minutes of small group instruction. But what if I don't have 20 minutes? Well, you do what you do. I can't tell you that exactly. So that's why I'm saying you're still ultimately the one making those decisions based on the recommendations that is supposed to be. And then you'll get started the first 8 weeks. We'll work on that tomorrow. You've got a plan already planned out. But again, that is just one teacher's plan. It doesn't have to be the one you use. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. The suggestions. You all get in our mind? Or are you just playing games? You just add a couple to register, right, if you want, then you don't have to register again, it's back from. You got your reading mini lesson, guys, you can register. Every single product has its own code. So this one is a different code from that one. This is a different code from that one.
Oh, no, each person, no, I got that. It's the same.
But there's 3 people who use that.
No, no, right, each product is your own personal thing, and it's different code.
So you're using 2 different, like guided reading. You're gonna use kindergarten guided reading and first grade guided reading.
Just the one time you do it.
Just one time.
You know, I mean, I don't know if it's allowed, but I'm just gonna say like how we did as a reading department. Yeah. So what we did as a reading department, we decided to do this as a grade level team. We just need one signage for roll-ups. We all have the same products anyway, you know what I'm saying? So we really only use one product code, but maybe one signage. It's easier, you know, you might decide to do it a different way, but you might say, okay, like, you know, Fields, grade 2. And then have like ask for teach, whatever it is, and like we all just decided that way, because it was just easier. And, you know,
That saves having to use each.
it saves having to scratch off every single one or whatever you have to do, and like, you can still, no matter what, it's the same thing, you know what I'm saying? It's just different codes. It makes your lives easier, you all know what it is, if somebody loses it, you're like, no, it's just our regular thing, Fields grade 2, teach, whatever it is, you know, like, we did something like that for reading. So that, you know, I just think that makes your life easier. And, one login, there you go. Yeah.
I would think if you didn't get shared readings, that's right now, that might be the only one because there are classroom listed.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that we're not gonna get shared meeting going forward, but this is just what we're piloting right now.
And so that one has, for each teacher, an option to sign up for their classroom to listen.
So that would make sense then to do it, yeah. For now, it's the only one pilot,
Yeah, I would write. Right. Good plan. All right, so let's take 5 minutes and let you chat about that. Online usage, how you're going to do that, your ability to stand, stretch, whatever. That clock says it's almost 10:30, so 10:35, we'll come back and look at the literacy routine. Deal? 5 minutes stretch.
How long does it take if you're still responsible for CRI too? CRI too still. Isn't that gonna help you with their kind of reading program compared to as a person in chat? What is the F&P assessment?
Depends. So for the reading teachers, it does take more to the highest instructional. So we go basically to frustration and then we slow right to frustration. But they don't want you to sit down with the child and really for like, 30, 40 minutes. Yeah. Sometimes children give you seconds if you're not feeling anger, seconds you're not. It's kind of similar to no, you're not doing that. You're regular DRI. You're not doing no, so for now, I'm doing that's how I figured out. But I was like, in here, I would come in here, I'm just go up one level just because they probably lost over the summer. They might have to go to the level that they were. But then, you want to try and push them. I feel like in here before, because you're giving them the guidance during that time, push them to level, whatever. It's called children can get structural levels, so you want to try and figure out what their guidance structural is. But I can come in and do too, and show you ways to put your kids to. Like it doesn't just have to be like, we'll be together, we'll be make it look different, and it can be like B and C together, but they're working on a certain thing too. So there's different kinds of grouping that we work on. But once you start doing the guided reading lessons, you're just realizing these are just these problems. Like it's really, I love that. Right. So. I know this is a new system, but I think there's another difference that may not get around. They started like just guided readers to their students and they love it too. And they get the transition to sign. And I so, but the guided reading and the is like different for them. It's like that so. And
That's what we'll have to start with. Looking like what books you already have, because books are available and to create. That's what we usually do. Yes.
You're gonna have to go through the case, not so much peace, but first 2 months is so crazy.
Not a good place, but it says, well, I'm like a great it seems like someone of these like you up. Yeah. Because that's each. And then Danielle, each class each. What you're talking about, those stations. Not like each.
you know.
I guess all the data is touching on this as well.
Let's go continue with the continuum. It's always dangerous to chit chat, you know, oh, I want to do this. If you don't mind coming back together on page 37 in the system guide, the grade level system guide, the spiral bound system guide that we've been looking. Page 37 begins with the section on the literacy continuum. It has some good information that sort of summarizes the whole literacy continuum there. And there are just a few things that I wanted to point out and help you think about using this literacy continuum. It is a valuable resource. I know it's big, thick, chunky, but it is valuable. Hugely valuable. So that's what we want to focus on. Notice the very first sentence there says, some learnings are best made with a map. This is your map. This is what we'll be using to help us guide our way through all of the materials. Sometimes when you're working with children, you might hit a roadblock, as it says here. This will help you sort out the children having difficulty, to pinpoint specifically what kind of difficulty are they having. And will help you think through how to help them over that hurdle where they get stuck. You may have to look back and see where there might be a gap in the learning. Or they might be ready to continue moving forward. We don't want to waste time teaching things they already know. So we need to know what students know so we can keep them moving forward along the path. So this continuum is just that. It continues from year to year to year, across the year. It has its goals and plans, the expectations. For the reading section, it begins with how to select text to teach for that specific context. And so if you're using materials from your own classroom or your own library, your own guided reading library, you can use those text characteristics to analyze the text to see if it's appropriate to use with your particular grade level. Sometimes what we find is that the texts that are selected, for example, in one of the contexts. So there might be an author study, a text set that's an author study in the interactive read alouds. And that may not be your favorite author. You can choose different texts, a different author study, and choose your own text to use, teach those lessons using those texts. But you might want to take a glance at the text with the text characteristics to make sure those books really are appropriate for your grade level. And so that will help you in making those kinds of plans and changes along the way. If you'll turn to page 38, then it talks about the content of the continuum. I'm going to let you explore the continuum. You can explore using these two pages, these pages all the way over to page 43, actually, 48. There. Gives you an example of the continuum and how to use it in preparing lessons and thinking about assessment of your students. And then take a glance through the actual continuum. Look through the interactive read aloud section of the continuum, the very first section. So there's maybe a blue color, and there's a section for each grade level. It begins with an introductory section on page. It actually begins on page 11. The introduction to the continuum we'll come back and talk about in just a moment now. We have a chance to explore. Starting on page 12 is where the narrative begins about explaining about interactive read aloud, literature discussion, how to use it in your school, and then you'll move into the more specifics like grade level. Let's just look at kindergarten for a moment so that we all can sort of begin in the same place. Kindergarten's continuum begins on page 26. And there at the top it says selecting text, characteristics, the text for read aloud discussion. And it has 10 subheadings on page 26. And as you read through those bullets, you'll see those are the kinds of texts that are appropriate for kindergarten. If we were to then flip over to grade 6, on page 76, for selecting text for 6th grade, and now look, see the kindergarten only took 2 pages. Now look at 6th grade, it goes page 26, 27, and 28. The characteristics are much more complex than selecting text for 6th grade. All of those in between are moving along that continuum.
What's the difference between a little grade square and a red square?
Oh, that will be, I'll tell you in just a second. Glad you asked that. All right, when you turn to page 28, it begins with selecting roles for teaching using interactive read aloud with kindergarten. And it says behaviors and understandings to notice, teach, and support. Those are important words we'll come back to. If you look at kindergarten, it has pages 28 to 31. Again, if you compare to 6th grade, that begins on page 79 and continues to page 87. Much more complex behaviors. That's how the continuum works for every section, pretty much except guided reading. So take a few moments to explore your grade level continuum and the front map, and we'll come back and answer the names. Jen's name. Jen asked a question about what the bullets, the colors of the bullets. That's going to be on, that information is on page 1 of the introduction section. We'll come back and look at that in a moment. Let's explore for a moment. We're very detailed on
I'm going to present Actually, any question I'm still learning.
You've been doing this kind of teaching for years. Then this lesson will make it much easier.
Versus
We
going.
have like unlimited content now.
We do, but I'm just saying like that's
Yeah.
just what it, that's what we do. Next week, if we get a kid. Then it's like, okay, read like there's a lot of things that come.
I'm no longer on like this now.
I know, that was me last June.
Right. So you see what a valuable tool the continuum is. We're using that
Someone
as a
has
continuum of work. So someone is already asking you about all these other questions that we need to get to. So let's keep moving. The next thing we need to talk about is this complex reading process and what that means. So we have what we, the way May and Irene set it up. Make sure there's one of these that's missing cards. All here. We fill out. We're gonna sort these. So make sure that you have, when you pull the cards out, 3 cards. One says thinking within the text. One says thinking beyond the text. And one says thinking about the text. Okay? So pull those cards out. Clear off the mistakes. Then you have 12 other cards, strategic actions. So count and see if you have all 12. You're not missing any of them. You're missing 12 of them. So, thinking within the text means you are thinking while engaging within the text. Most of it's literal thinking, information. So which strategic actions, which ways of processing text are you using as you're thinking within the text? As you're reading, you're also using things that are already in your head, things you already know, things that you know about. You're thinking beyond the text, and you're bringing that information into your reading. So thinking beyond the text means you're bringing other information in that's beyond what's literally in the text. Thinking about the text is thinking about the text as an object that has been put together in a particular way that makes it easier or harder for you as a reader. So thinking about the text is thinking in that way. So see if you can sort the 12 strategic actions, the ways of thinking, into those 3 categories.
But the thing beyond probably the other
Here's another hint. There are 6 strategic actions for thinking within the text, 4 for thinking beyond, and 2 for thinking about. 6, 4, 2. Then, beyond, and about. Do you know where you can check yourself? The front and side cover of your continuum has the answer. We call it the Wheel of Fortune. The SOSA wheel, Systems of Strategic Action. Now, is that what you're thinking about? So the front and
There's two, thank you.
Pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
which ones were tricky?
They're over.
All more than, you know, you've been doing reading records or records more, you've seen this behavior more than others. It seems in recent years, it's becoming not such divided, but I think the primary teachers usually have seen these more. Which ones were tricky for you though? Did you see why they go where they are? Predict. Yes, and think about, this is what was tricky. I also had trouble with that one years ago. When you're predicting, what are you doing? When the teacher in the video is asking the children to predict, what were they having to think?
What's in front of us?
They're thinking about the story that they've heard so far and what's going to happen next. But how do you make a prediction? You have to have some background knowledge. So that makes it beyond the text. The other one I had difficulty with was summarizing, because we always think about summarizing, you know, the skill that we test, summarizing. But it goes, and actually in guiding readers and writers years ago, we had difficulty with thinking about, does that expand the reading or does it sustain the reading? And it's really thinking within the text, it's happening, and many of these are happening while the reader is reading, but when engaging with the text, the reader has to learn how to hold on to the characters and the important information to keep the story moving forward. We don't usually have a whole lot of summarizing in levels A and B. You could take those books and tear them apart, throw them in the air, and it wouldn't matter what sequence you put them because you're teaching children how to attention. But with story plot lines becoming more complex, that's important. With multiple characters, multiple episodes, you have to hold on to the important information. So what helped me to understand this was my mother-in-law had Alzheimer's. It was in reverse. She was an avid reader, but as that disease took control of her brain, she could not read a book because she couldn't hold the characters or the plot line. It didn't make sense. And she couldn't keep it all straight. She couldn't watch TV shows for the same reason. I mean, between the commercials, she'd get confused. She couldn't hold the storyline in her head. You are teaching children how to hold on to the important information. Most authors include a lot of information in the text that are important to understanding, but are also make it enjoyable. But you don't have to hold on to